You've used Google today. You probably didn't pay for a single second of it. No subscription fee, no login charge, no mysterious invoice waiting in your inbox with a passive-aggressive payment overdue subject line. And yet, in the time it takes you to read this sentence, Google has already made more money than most small businesses make in a week. Somewhere in the world, right now, someone is typing a question into that search bar, and Google is quietly getting paid for it. Not by you, by someone else entirely. Someone you've never met, bidding for a few seconds of your attention without you ever knowing it happened. That's the strange part about Google. It feels free. It feels like a public utility, almost like electricity or clean water, something that just exists for everyone to use, like it fell from the sky fully formed. But behind that suspiciously simple white homepage is one of the most profitable machines ever built by human beings. Last year alone, Google's parent company pulled in over $300 billion in revenue, and a massive chunk of that, well over $200 billion, came from something so ordinary you barely notice it anymore. Advertising. Yes, the same advertising you claim to hate and ignore, somehow funding a trillion-dollar empire. To understand how a company gives away its most valuable product for free and still becomes a financial giant, you have to go back to the beginning. Back before Google was even trying to make money at all. Back when it was just two guys and a genuinely bad idea about where to put their servers. In 1998, two Stanford graduate students, Larry Page and Sergey Brin, built a search engine in a garage, because apparently every great American tech company is legally required to start in a garage. At the time, the internet was a mess. Search results were cluttered, slow, and often about as useful as a screen door on a submarine. Google's search algorithm was different. It ranked pages based on how many other pages linked to them, almost like a popularity contest for information, except this one actually had some substance behind it. It worked so well that people started telling their friends about it, without any advertising at all. Within a few years, millions of people were using Google every single day, and precisely 0 of them were paying a cent. But here's the problem nobody talks about. Search engines are expensive to run. Every single query you type costs Google real money, in electricity, in server space, in engineers keeping the system alive at 3 a.m. Multiply that by billions of searches a day, and you start to see the issue. Google was giving away something that cost a fortune to build, and for a while, nobody inside the company knew exactly how they were going to pay for it. Great product, no business model. A classic tech industry starter pack. Then came the idea that changed everything. What if, instead of charging users, Google let businesses pay to appear at the top of search results, not by hacking the algorithm, but through a separate, clearly marked section. A small text ad sitting quietly above or beside the normal results, minding its own business. In the year 2000, Google launched a program called AdWords, later renamed Google Ads, and this single decision, dreamed up by people who probably expected a modest side income, is the reason Google is worth over $1 trillion today. Here's how it actually works, and it's simpler than most people think, though Google would very much prefer you never think about it at all. Businesses don't just pay a flat fee to show up. They enter an auction, a real one happening in milliseconds, every single time someone searches for something. Imagine you own a small plumbing business. You want to show up when someone types "emergency plumber near me." So does your competitor down the street, who you have strong opinions about. Both of you tell Google how much you're willing to pay every time someone clicks your ad. Google then runs a lightning-fast auction, weighing not just how much money you're offering, but how relevant and well-written your ad actually is. Whoever wins gets the spot. And Google gets paid, but only when someone actually clicks. This is the part that surprises people the most. Google doesn't get paid for simply showing an ad. Impressions are free. It only gets paid the moment your finger or your mouse actually clicks that blue link. This system is called pay-per-click, and it's brilliant for a very specific reason. It aligns Google's incentives with the advertisers. If the ad doesn't work, if nobody clicks it, Google makes nothing from it. So Google is constantly motivated to show you ads that are actually relevant to what you're searching for, because relevant ads get clicked, and clicked ads make money. It's the rare case of a corporation being nice to you purely out of self-interest, which, frankly, is the most honest kind of nice. Now, you might be wondering, how much does a single click actually cost? The answer depends entirely on the industry, and the numbers get wild very quickly. A click for a personal injury lawyer keyword can cost anywhere from $50 to over $100, because a single new client could be worth tens of thousands of dollars to that law firm. Somewhere, a lawyer is paying more per click than you paid for lunch. A click for a local coffee shop, on the other hand, might cost just a few cents. Multiply these numbers across billions of searches happening every single day, in almost every language on Earth, and you start to understand the sheer scale of what's actually happening behind that suspiciously calm search bar. But search ads are only one piece of the puzzle. Google's advertising empire stretches far beyond its own website, and this is where it gets almost invisible to the average person, which is exactly how Google likes it. Think about the last time you scrolled through a random blog, watched a YouTube video, or checked the weather on some app you downloaded once and never opened again. Chances are you saw an ad, and chances are Google was involved somewhere behind the scenes, like a landlord nobody's ever actually met. Google runs something called the Display Network and AdSense, a system that places ads on millions of websites across the internet, from small blogs to massive news sites. When you click one of those ads, the website owner gets a cut, and Google keeps a percentage for itself, often somewhere around 30%, just for playing matchmaker. Then there's YouTube, which Google bought back in 2006 for $65 billion, a price that seemed almost absurd at the time, back when YouTube was mostly cats and shaky camcorder footage. Critics called it overpriced. History, as it often does with tech critics, disagreed. Today, YouTube alone generates over $30 billion a year, largely through the same advertising engine, those skippable ads you frantically click skip on the second the button appears. Every creator you watch, every ad you sigh through, is quietly feeding into this same machine. So what makes Google's advertising system so much more powerful than a billboard on a highway or a commercial on television? The answer comes down to one word: data. Every search you've ever made, every video you've watched at 2 a.m. and regretted, every location you've visited with your phone in your pocket, silently reporting on you like a very loyal, very nosy pet. Every email sitting in your Gmail inbox. All of it feeds into a profile, an incredibly detailed, almost eerie understanding of who you are, what you like, and what you're likely to buy next, sometimes before you know it yourself. Advertisers aren't just paying for a spot on a page. They're paying for precision. They can target a 34-year-old woman in Chicago who recently searched for hiking boots and follows outdoor brands on YouTube. That kind of targeting is worth an enormous amount of money because it dramatically increases the odds the ad actually leads to a sale. This is where things get a little uncomfortable, and it's worth pausing on. There's an old saying in the tech world: if the product is free, you are the product. Google's services feel generous, but they exist to build the most detailed advertising profile in human history. Every free tool, Gmail, Google Maps, Google Photos, Google Docs, isn't really free at all. You're paying with something far more valuable than money. Your attention, your habits, your location, your entire digital footprint, all quietly changing hands while you're busy searching for, "Why is my cat ignoring me?" Running this empire, though, isn't cheap, no matter how effortless it looks from the outside. People assume a company this profitable must have almost no costs, but that's far from the truth. Google operates hundreds of massive data centers around the world, buildings the size of small towns, packed with servers that never stop running, cooled constantly to keep them from melting under their own workload. These facilities cost billions of dollars to build and billions more to maintain every single year. Add in the salaries of roughly 180,000 employees, many of them among the highest paid engineers on the planet, and you start to see just how much money it actually takes to keep this machine breathing. And then there are the risks, the kind that could quietly unravel the entire empire, even one this big. Regulators around the world have started asking uncomfortable questions, the kind that don't have easy answers. In 2023, a United States federal court ruled that Google had illegally maintained a monopoly over online search. In Europe, regulators have hit the company with fines totaling billions of dollars over the years, accusing it of unfairly favoring its own services. If governments eventually force Google to change how its advertising auctions work, or worse, break the company apart, that could shake the very foundation this empire was built on. There's also a slower, quieter threat, the kind that doesn't make headlines but keeps executives up at night. The way people search is beginning to change. More people are asking questions directly to AI chatbots instead of typing them into a traditional search bar. If fewer people click through those familiar blue links, fewer ads get seen, and fewer ads get clicked. Google has responded by weaving AI directly into search results, but it's a delicate balancing act, a bit like trying to renovate a plane mid-flight. Change too much, and you risk breaking the very system that made you rich in the first place. Despite the risks, the numbers are almost hard to comprehend. Every single second, Google processes somewhere around 99,000 searches, give or take. Every second. Not every minute, every second, which means by the time you finish reading this sentence, several hundred more people have asked Google something they were too embarrassed to ask a real person. And a meaningful share of those searches trigger an ad auction, happening faster than you can blink. It's easy to think of Google as just a search engine, but in reality, it operates one of the largest financial marketplaces in the world, an auction house that never sleeps, running continuously across every time zone on Earth. So the next time you open that clean white homepage and type in a question, take a second to notice what's actually happening. Behind that simple, almost innocent-looking search bar, dozens of companies might be competing in real time for the chance to reach you specifically. Google isn't really in the search business. It never really was. It's in the attention business, and it figured out how to sell something you didn't even realize you were giving away for free: your own curiosity.